Have you ever felt like your spirit is poking you awake, nudging you toward something deeper, something you weren't sure you were ready for? Maybe your soul has been whispering that there's more to faith than what you've been taught. That's why you're here, because you're ready. What I'm about to share isn't popular. It isn't socially acceptable. Some even say it's forbidden. But these are Jesus' truths meant for hearts like yours. Hearts ready to embrace divine transformation. And if you're hearing this, it's no accident. You were chosen for this moment. Let's begin. 1. Radical judgment. You've heard it said, but Jesus goes deeper, removing the scales from our eyes to judge our own hearts before casting stones at others. It's personal conviction, not public condemnation. Your mirror matters more than your phone. 2. Complete forgiveness. 70 times 7 isn't math. It's a spiritual posture. It's letting go of old debts when your heart still trembles at the thought of a long-ago offense. It's choosing freedom over bitterness, a radical act of rebellion against the world's trends. 3. Abundance mindset. God isn't a scarcity God. He's the one who feeds thousands from a boy's lunchbox. And He's pointing at you. You can walk in abundance, not because you earned it, but because you're beloved. 4. Invitation to surrender. Pick up your cross daily. That's not spiritual speak, it's radical surrender. To choose surrender over control. To sign your name on the permission slip. Use me, Lord. 5. Inner purity. It wasn't about avoiding thoughts of lust or pride. It was about guarding your soul from becoming a house for shadows. Jesus wasn't banning desires. He was calling our hearts to honor their power. 6. Living out. Grace. Love your enemy. That's not pie-in-the-sky philosophy. It's spiritual weapons training. Choosing grace over grudges, healing over harm, love even when the world screams, fight. 7. Kingdom focus. Give not to get. Seek first the kingdom. Build up treasures that no thief or trend can touch. Jesus flipped the value system upside down. The world says, chase the bag. He says, chase eternity. 8. Confronting religious performance. Don't parade your fasting. When your faith is for an audience, you'll get an applause, but miss the miracle. Jesus loved humility, the ones who do what's sacred for souls, not spotlight. 9. Spiritual childlikeness. Trust like a child. Dream like a child. Believe like a child. We're spiritual grown-ups in the deepest sense. That's freedom. To wander, to wonder, and to whisper prayers like, speak to me. 10. Divine identity. You're the light. These words weren't meant to quiet you. They were meant to open the door, to tell you that your worth isn't performance-based, it's identity-based. You belong. You're chosen. You're a carrier. What's crazy is how all these forbidden teachings intersect. They challenge culture, religion, expectation, but they don't reject love. They elevate it. They call us away from sheep-stealing religion and into soul-deep surrender. So let me ask, are you still carrying grudges? Still protecting yourself from abundance? Still building faith for applause? Today is the day, because you're no longer the person you were 10 years ago. You're deeper, you're braver, you're ready to live the forbidden, God-ordained truths. Comment below, I choose freedom. Let this be your altar moment. Hit that like button if Kingdom Focus stirred something in you. Subscribe because this isn't content, it's conviction. Share this with someone who needs permission to go deeper. Jesus' most radical teachings weren't about breaking rules. They were about revealing the heart behind them. They weren't meant to silence you. They were meant to set you free. And if you've stayed with this until now, Your soul already knows it. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to decide. Choose identity over image. Choose surrender over safety. Choose forgiveness over fury. Choose freedom over fear. You've been given the keys. What you do next, that's on you. Walk in it. And when you do, watch what happens. Because you're not living your life, you're living His. Let's go even deeper. Because if your heart is still here, that means you didn't just want the list. You wanted the revelation behind the list. You want the truth that transforms, not just the one that teaches. See, the reason these teachings feel forbidden isn't because they're hidden. They're too pure for corrupted systems. They're threatening to people who profit from guilt and control. And Jesus knew that. When He spoke, He wasn't just offering comfort. He was dismantling empires of ego, shaking up entire worldviews. And still, He did it with love, quiet power, unshakable truth. So let's walk through a few of those teachings again, not with our heads, but with our hearts. When He said, "Forgive 70 times 7, He wasn't inviting us to be pushovers. He was teaching us spiritual protection. Because every time you refuse to forgive, you chain yourself to the past. But forgiveness, it's a cutting away, a sacred release. And when He said, "Love your enemies," He wasn't making peace sound cute. He was inviting you to reclaim your power. Because when you love someone who wronged you, you say to the universe, "You will not shape me into bitterness. I'm made of something more." You see how powerful that is? He didn't just come to patch up our wounds. He came to awaken spiritual warriors, people who would walk in quiet authority, not ego. People who didn't need to prove their holiness, they just were. And what about abundance? So many people hear prosperity and think it's about money. But Jesus wasn't just talking about coin. He was talking about mindset, spiritual richness, knowing that your Father owns everything, so why live like you're abandoned? You were never meant to scrape by spiritually. You were meant to overflow. Now, let's touch on something raw. Religion taught you to hide your struggles, to show up clean, polished, put together. But Jesus, He walked toward lepers. He touched the unclean. He honored the broken. The people who loved Him most were the ones no one else could stand, which means your past doesn't disqualify you. Your wounds don't scare Him. Your questions don't offend Him. He's not afraid of your mess. In fact, He specializes in it. So when He said, "Come to me, all you who are weary and heavy laden, and I will give you rest," He wasn't offering a nap. He was offering soul rest, freedom from performance, permission to exhale. Now pause. What if the reason these teachings scare people is because they leave no room for pretending? They call you to be vulnerable, to be radically honest, to drop the act. Because God's love was never meant to be earned, it was meant to be received. You don't have to hustle for approval. You don't have to fix yourself first. You're loved wildly, fully, eternally, right now. So why are you hearing this today? Because you're ready to stop surviving on spiritual leftovers. You're ready for the main course, the truth of Jesus, not filtered through fear or ego, but flowing straight from His Spirit into yours. And if you've felt your heart burning, if you've had chills you couldn't explain, if you've whispered, "This feels like home," that's your soul remembering, because He